would say there is almost no history of indoor skateboarding in Cambridge. You know, there's a handful of examples where people have taken over warehouse spaces on a kind of DIY level, figured out a way to get in and have built ramps and, you know, done their thing, but, you know, they wouldn't last for anything more than, you know, a couple of days at a time before, you know, the building owners would stop it. So I think it's been a long-standing desire for the Cambridge skate community to have something indoors and for people to go and enjoy in the winter when basically you can't skate in Cambridge. And yeah, here we have it. So after, you know, a long time of planning and figuring out how to make it work, this year, yeah, we were kind of lucky enough to get the keys and make this warehouse into the skate park.
Skateboarding to even exist in Cambridge is an achievement in itself. It's like when you think of a modern city, we are not that. It's not an endless concrete playground for skating like you hear, like, yeah, cities are playgrounds for skaters. That's not this city. Minimal provisions, very niche, small scene, very localized, very close-knit. That's what makes it special, is that it's something so different in a city which is so formalized.
So there's always been a desire, I think, to have an indoor skateboard space in Cambridge, but no one's actually managed to pull it off. James and Joe and myself and others have been talking about the possibility of an indoor skate park for a couple of years. There is nothing close to Cambridge. The nearest skate park is an hour's drive away, and it just seemed like having somewhere indoor that was a safe space as well to allow people to skate during the winter months and things would be amazing.
I think most people involved in the project have been looking at other things in the UK as inspiration. I think as skaters you can't help but look at magazines and see other projects that are going on and think, oh well, why can't we have something similar to that?
Pitt Street Skate Park really inspired us, using an existing space and sort of putting skatable stuff into it. Working out some arrangement with a council or a landowner to do that. That was a big inspiration. Drugstore in Norwich as well. So they're in a listed building, they're in a church, and there's just a really creative use of space because they're actually preserving that church by having a skate park in there, which sounds contradictory, but the way they've built it, it can all be removed. Yeah, they were a big inspiration and really supportive. Actually, one of the ledges here came from there as well. I would say some of the inspiration has come from DIY skate parks that have existed in Cambridge. So Camskate actually formed out of an effort to save a DIY skate park that was unfortunately shut down by the university. But that kind of rallied the community together to kind of, try and save this park. And then when that didn't work, all of that energy redirected into trying to improve more legitimate skate facilities. Legitimate in the sense of backed by the council and authorities.
DIY skate culture in a world of austerity and neoliberal urbanization is what happens to community organizing and community activism when you're forced to rebrand yourself and work strategically with councils, with capital interests and all of that. And the end product is groups of skaters with enhanced DBS checks to run a skate park. You can argue it's maybe sanitized a little bit, but the bottom line is that this is something that has fought for about 50 years now in Cambridge, and it's finally been delivered. It just makes it crazy when you have this backdrop of the most institutionalized university in the world or whatever, with the amount of such undue influence and power over the city. And then you have this group of skaters who've just worked so strategically to legally get their own place. And even if it's just for a year, or meanwhile, it's like setting a precedent for what the future could look like in Cambridge and what more just, kind of more playful urbanization could look like.
In terms of the design and the way that the ramps have all been constructed, I feel like every skater plans and designs, skate features, skate parks in their head from the moment they start skateboarding. So it's just one of those things that everyone's got an idea, and I think that became really apparent when we opened out the conversation about how to develop the design.
It was very much dictated by the space that we actually ended up managing to get. So we're very lucky that the warehouse has this kind of L-shaped footprint, which allowed us to put the micro ramp and the mini ramp in one section and to have that sort of quite separate to the whole street section and the pyramid and things. The space kind of dictated what we put in it, but it fits really, really well and the flow works really well, especially with the new extension that we built.
The DIY way of building has definitely shaped the way that we've done it as well. So I think having these modular, one thing we realized from making DIYs was that building and skating as you go is actually a really nice way of doing things. And the modular pieces allow us to do that. So every time you come in, they're in a different configuration, and it means that we haven't glued stuff down or set it in stone before we got a chance to see what the flow is like. Obviously we did have to build some bits just straight up without knowing, but the modular street section has been a really good example of that kind of, how would I say, it's like a managed DIY approach.
It was a ginormous community effort to build this thing. I don't know, at times there were kind of 10, 15 people on site, some of which, you know, kind of long-standing tradesmen, tradespeople. Other times it was people that just really wanted to get involved with the project and help kind of drive it forward and support it. There was a key builder involved, Pete Higginson. He was the kind of named main contractor who kind of held all the responsibility for coordinating the materials and the build. And he also coordinated the massive volunteer workforce that came with it. So yeah, big project. There were times where it was very busy, times where it was not so busy, but yeah, the kind of, I guess the pace of the build was something very kind of unsettling to watch. The way it came together so quickly, you know, you go away for a day, come back, and suddenly there was a fun box in front of you. So yeah, great as it was also, you know, a feeling of immense kind of rushing and yeah, excitement.
I think it's incredibly important to repurpose spaces like this.
In Cambridge, for a skate park, it's basically essential because rent is so expensive and skate parks just don't make that much money. So I don't think we could have done this project if we hadn't done it in a meanwhile way. Getting a really good deal from Railpen, the property owners, to do it.
So grateful to Railpen for believing in us and allowing us to put this park in.
And I hope when our lease ends that we can find a new space like this. And I hope that other organisations like Camskate can find access to spaces like this as well, because there's a lot of them in Cambridge and it's really hard to do anything if you're not a massive chain. There's
been a real impact on not just the Cambridge skate scene, but also, you know, we're starting to reach out into schools. You know, today we've got Send School here, and they've got a regular booking where they bring kids at lunchtime and skate here.
One of my favourite things about taking them out for these sorts of activities is the conversations we have in the minibus or the car on the way home. And some of the standout things that they've said in the past is that it's not against each other. It's an encouraging environment to be in. Everyone wants each other to succeed, which isn't always the case when you've got one team against another team or those more conventional sports. The relationships that I can build with the students while we're here doing this, because it's not in the classroom environment, it's not I'm your teacher, you're the student, you should do what I say. It's very much we're on a level, and we can talk about tricks that we're trying. They can see me struggling to land some tricks. I can help them, they can help me. And it very much levels the playing field, and we can build those positive relationships, which we can then call upon in the classroom if we need to. So yeah, it's been brilliant.
We've just started our after school club. We've got funding to put children through places on our after school club. Now we're going to run another half-term skate camp in February half-term. And we've got funding for places on that as well. So our reach is starting to really grow amongst the local community, and we're trying to bring more and more people into skateboarding. And it's not just children and young people. We've got an after work club started now as well for beginner skateboarders on a Tuesday evening. So we're really trying to reach out as much as we can. And what we're hoping is that the strength of that community will form a wave, if you like, behind us, can work with the council and landowners and whatever to create momentum if and when we have to move. That, you know, that will be, we'll have a lot of support behind us.